Hey everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. We are super excited here at Fourth Point Wealth. We're going to be trying something new and bringing to you guys regular video content for both educational topics, questions that our clients are asking us, questions that come direct from you guys, or things that we're seeing in the news that are hot topics to kind of go through. And it serves two purposes. One is to give you guys the answers to the questions and shed some light on some of those hot topics that are in the discussions on the news, but also to educate our community in general. Go ahead and do me a favor to pay homage to the almighty YouTube algorithms. Go ahead and like and subscribe this video, and make sure that you comment below with any questions that you do have. We'll make sure that we answer those, and hopefully you can continue to answer your questions and be useful for you guys moving forward. Today we're going to talk about our new administration in the Capitol. If I was smart, I'd stick to dinner party rules and avoid politics and religion altogether, but I'm not, so we're going to get straight into it. So I'll say this. We're getting into politics, but my wife Katie gets up out of bed every day and she listens to a podcast to get her daily news. A lot of it has to do with politics, especially in election years, but she does it for a couple of reasons. One, it's straight to the point. They get her the facts and they avoid all of their political opinions within that. They do a great job on the podcast, and so she builds that trust. So the political disclaimer here is that we're going to do our best to be the same. Nobody's looking for political bents and rants. We get enough of that if you turn on any news station. So again, this is going to be the facts, maybe some opinions about it at the end, but you can judge how you want as we go through all of this. Okay, so back to President Biden. Over the last several presidencies, we've seen a huge increase in the use of presidential executive orders, memorandums, and this is going to be the same story for President Biden. In his first couple weeks, we've seen over 40 of these different presidential orders come through, and that's, again, it's the case in the first 100 days of a presidency. We've seen this increasing use, and it's going to be the same story with House and the Senate in the Democratic control. There are a lot of initiatives that are coming through, and they're trying to get their plans started right away. Most of those we're not qualified to comment on, and frankly, I don't really care to comment on them either. But there are a couple of things that are of use to our clients, that are questions that have been coming in, and the big topic is student loan debt. So first things first with student loan debt. According to the Federal Student Aid Office from the Department of Education, the outstanding student loan debt is now over $1.5 trillion across almost 43 million people in the United States. There's numerous ideas and topics, discussions about what we should do about it, and all these different things that have come through. The Biden administration made it a huge initiative through their campaign to address the student loan pandemic, or epidemic is something that they've been using as a term. Okay, so what is the Biden student loan plan? While a lot of it hasn't been rolled out yet, or very little has, it's a huge point from their campaign, and he's talked about major reforms to both higher education and student borrowing. So I want to touch on a little bit of what to expect, what do we think is going to happen, and then what do you do about it? So first, a little history. Going back to 2020, when COVID hit the U.S., part of the COVID relief bills that were put forth by Congress, Senate, and the Trump administration was a forbearance of all federal student loan debt. Initially, it was a 6-month period. Then it got extended out further and up to January 31st of 2021. So far, the one solidified piece of the Biden student loan plan has been an executive order that further extends out that deadline for the forbearance period to the end of September 2021. So we've got a kind of a kicking of that can down the road to buy some more time while he puts together the rest of the plan. Now, a quick note on forbearance. Forbearance and forgiveness are totally different things. This is a commonly kind of confused bit of terminology, but forbearance allows the borrower to not accrue interest and halt payments during that forbearance period. So for borrowers that have been affected by COVID, are not able to pay, their interest is not racking up on them during that period. They're able to kind of buy that time. It's also been a huge advantage for people who've been fortunate enough to continue making payments or have family help them, whatever it might be, because you're buying down all principal because there's no accrual of that interest during the forbearance period. Again, this is only on federal student loans, not private, but the forbearance is different than forgiveness. Forgiveness is something we'll touch on a little bit later. So the most popularly talked about part of the Biden student debt plan has been a proposal to eliminate the first $10,000 of student loan debt per individual. That's going to be our main focus here because one, I think it's the most widely talked about part of their legislation proposals, but two, it also seems like it's the most likely to happen quickly. So this proposal will likely be included in some sort of a COVID relief proposal or bill, but it would again wipe out the first $10,000 of federal student loan debt per person. Now that would totally eliminate federal student loan debt for about 15 million people in this country. Now, granted, there's another 2/3 of the borrowers that are out there that have more than $10,000 in student loan debt, and this would cost around $430 billion to accomplish. But it seems like the most likely scenario for President Biden, and he's got the House and the Senate support behind him on the bill. So the argument for this is obviously that a ton of people are struggling with student loan debt, and in a period where the economy is slowed due to COVID, you're helping a lot of people, and the argument would be that instead of paying for their student loans, they're putting that money back to work in the economy and further contributing to the growth of the economy. The cons are obviously it's a huge price tag to put on the nation's balance sheet, and there's discussion about further kind of pushing up inflation, etc. Not a lot of complication to this proposal. With the wave of a wand, poof, $10,000 is back in everybody's pocket that's got these student loans. Obviously, that's a huge undertaking to actually manage, but it'd be a massive difference in the lives of the folks that need it. Now, what else is a part of the Biden student loan plan? If you looked at Biden, his campaign's website, there's a ton of different proposals. So let's take a quick look at what else is in there. Now, there's a ton of different discussions on different proposals or opportunities to either cancel, forgive, or adjust student loan debt for other citizens, right? So one of those, and it doesn't elaborate on this, but is a discussion about for families, households making less than $120,000, $125,000, that there would be some sort of forgiveness phase out on your student debt. There's potential debt cancellation for public undergraduate education, additional public service benefits. And this is something to kind of touch on real quick. A public service loan forgiveness is nothing new. This has been around for a long time, and it goes to educators, nonprofit organizations, government workers. If they qualify within these service categories, there has been loan forgiveness provisions for them for years. The challenge is it's a highly complicated application process, and last we looked, 98% of the applications were being rejected. One of the proposals is to completely overhaul that system, one, with making it easier to get the application done so that you have a better approval rate, but two is an accelerated forgiveness of the debt rather than kicking it down, and then if I qualify after 10 years, I get a big balloon payment essentially that's written off. Instead, this would be, in one of the proposals, about $10,000 each year for 5 years of those service categories. Now, quick side note, if you are in one of those service categories, government, nonprofit, K-12 education, you may qualify already for some student loan forgiveness, but again, the process is really difficult. We've helped hundreds of people kind of go through some of that over the course of time, and we have some resources to point you to. So go ahead and reach out directly, send us an email or give us a call, and we might be able to help you out with that. So back to some of the proposals that we've got in place. Proposals that would significantly change the repayment plans as well based on your income levels. So doing these different tiered income type of resources, or even proposals now for free tuition for anybody that's got under $125,000 in family income, or free 2 years of community college as well. So all of these things are on this initiative. Again, it's on the president's campaign website. But you'd still be on the hook for your non-tuition. This is another question that we've been getting is, hey, if we start to get some free tuition, that's the tuition money. You still have to pay for all of the non-tuition expenses. So obviously this is a huge undertaking. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in overhauling a complete system. But look, action could be really beneficial for a lot of families that are just drowning in student loan debt. I know, frankly, I'm always shocked when I see people in their mid and late 40s or early 50s still trying to work on this cloud over their head of student loan debt. But we don't know what will pass. We don't know how quickly it will pass. There's really no way to predict some of these things outside of what we know from day to day. The question that we're getting from a lot of folks is, hey, if President Biden is going to launch this initiative and wipe out $10,000 of my student loan debt and potentially future other benefits down the road, should I be paying my student debt now, or should I leave it, especially during this forbearance period? So my answer to the question is it's a little bit like buying life insurance. If I knew the date that you were going to die and I knew the size of your bank account that you on that date, it'd be a lot easier to plan for the right amount of life insurance for your family. There is no doubt in my mind that student loan debt is crippling people's financial futures in this country, and we could spend hours in debate on what the right solution is, what reforms need to be made in the college education system, but if you're like me, you're debated out. So the answer for everyday investors is, what do I do about it? And I think I'll probably quote Dave Ramsey on this one. It says, if you're waiting for Washington to fix your life's always going to suck. So canceling $10,000 of student debt for 43 million people, 15 of which it just eliminates completely, is a massive help to those lives. There's no doubt in my mind that it would make a massive difference in their financial future and probably save a few lives. But the only issue is that these proposals, even with House and Senate support, can take time, and we don't know how long or if they're going to happen. The only thing we can do is control the things that we can control. So look, for most of us, outside of our vote in a general election, we can't control the president, we can't control Congress or the Senate. All we can do is focus on our own budget, and I know some of those things are often out of our control as well, especially during a COVID time. But all we can do is focus on things that we can do. And the thing that we can do is get out of debt. You got to pay off your debt. If you're in a position where you can pay even a little bit right now during a forbearance period where this is extended out for another 8-9 months, I think it would be such an amazing opportunity to get all of that principal paid down now and take it upon ourselves to focus on our financial future. So follow the steps, get on a budget, and prioritize paying off your debt as if it's a need. Because again, this federal student loan debt, as it stands right now, and who knows if this is part of those changes, but you can't get out of it. There's no way to go bankrupt and avoid these federal loans, right? The federal government finds a way to get their money eventually, whether it's from you or after you pass away and they hit your family. So I think right now, even with proposed changes, we got to focus on paying it off. And again, there's a huge opportunity while these loans are not accruing further interest. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this is inspired by you asking us to kind of do this and get on top of some of these topics. Over the coming weeks and months and years, we're going to be releasing a ton of video content, both on educational topics that we think the community at large should know, because we're not taught personal financial literacy in school, and we should be. So we're going to help fill some of that void. And two, we're going to talk about those things that are in the news, topical content that are coming in from questions that our own clients are asking. Make sure that, again, you like and subscribe so that you get up-to-date content along the way. But please send us your questions. We want to answer them and be here to help you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.